Hi guys, good evening. We are here at Beatworx studio with Nils Hoffmann, all the way from Berlin, who makes his way to Bangalore for the first time. We're going to be chatting with Nils for a session of information exchange, talking about his music, his life, and his endeavors. Good evening, Nils. Welcome to Beatworx studio.
Good evening. Yeah, nice to be here.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine. Yeah, I just arrived yesterday and now I had a couple of hours sleep and yeah, I'm fine. Yeah.
Your first time in Bangalore, what do you think of the city so far? Have you got some insights? Have you heard some things from anybody?
I only have heard that it's an IT city, but I haven't seen so much until now. But I think that I might do that on Saturday where I'm playing here. So yeah, I haven't seen so much from the city actually, but yeah, I just saw a little bit from the taxi ride to this place here. So, but it's yeah, I haven't seen so much yet. Yeah.
You definitely got that right. It is the IT city, and also Bangalore would be one of the most forward-thinking cities in terms of electronic music or in terms of music in general. Okay. Bangalore has always been sort of on the forefront, and also this is the whole focus of information exchange, to give you some information about what we do here as well and take information back from you.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
So let's get started and run us through a little bit of your early days, your most earliest influences, what led you into electronic music, how you developed a love for it and started kind of, putting it out together.
Yeah, I think I got into electronic music through, I don't know, it was a time where like Paul Kalkbrenner, Berlin Calling was really huge in Germany. This was, I got a CD from my aunt who at that time that was already very popular because my aunt had that CD and she gave it to me and I listened to it and I really liked it. I watched the movie, I liked it, and then I got more and more into electronic music and I found Trentemøller, which I absolutely loved. I think Trentemøller's first album, The Last Resort, is like still today like my favorite album of all time.
Right.
And yeah, I absolutely loved his music and was also a big inspiration because he had a lot of emotion in it, and I really liked it, and also from the sound design, and yeah, that was really cool. And so I was really more listening to music than going out because I was still very young and couldn't go to clubs, and so I was really more into music that I could listen to. That was electronic, something like Mode Selector or Apparat, but also some bands that also had like this kind of emotional thing, like Bon Iver I also really liked a lot. And yeah, those bands actually and those artists have been the influence. And when I started to DJ, I got also a bit more into like the stuff that is more like happening in the clubs, like Innervisions, for example. I liked that a lot for quite a while, and yeah, it's really it's always emotion. I was more into the melodic side of electronic music, and that was always what impressed me. Yeah.
Does this come from the fact that you also had formal music training? So was that a huge motivational factor for you to kind of get into this? Or sometimes we often hear, where when you're actually taking the music training, you don't realize how important it can be later. It's something that you kind of do, and then
yeah, I think so. It comes from that for me, like, yeah, music was always for me more about like harmonies than about like only beats. So I think I also played like drums for quite a few years, so I also know that. But it's yeah, for me it was always about music. I wanted to create something that touches me and touches also maybe other people, and then yeah, that was always what it's all about for me. And I think still to date, it's always about like finding a melody where I think, okay, wow, I can make a track out of that. So that was like.
So are you one of those people who start first with a melody when you start writing?
Totally,
you first start with the melody.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your setup, what you have in the studio, and what you use your different devices for. Whether you're a completely inside the box person or you like a little bit of both worlds.
Yeah, I like a little bit of both worlds. I have a lot of VSTs. I think like 90% of the time I'm working inside the box because I have synthesizers that I like a lot. For example, Omnisphere, Diva, which are amazing, and also Serum. But I also own Moog Sub 37, which is really great for bass lines, and also Prophet 6. But I find myself mostly using like the VSTs actually, because it's easier for the workflow for me, and that I also have sounds that I use quite a lot, and for me it's I know these synthesizers very well, so it's for me like it's I'm very used to work with them, and I know them quite well, so yeah.
Right. So it's of course knowing your tools better than what you want to do with it, or rather the end result that is most important with the tools that you have.
Yeah. It's not. It's about the end result. It's not that important, I think, like how you get there. It's
Absolutely.
Like,
Tell us about one of your first few releases. How did you go about putting them out? Were you consistently working for a long time, putting a bunch of tracks together, or did you, have your first few tracks and said, okay, I'm going to send it out now to labels? Let's hear a little bit about how those years have been, because for a lot of producers who do this is one of the questions that we get asked often the most, and every producer has a great introspective on this.
Yeah. Well, I was really young, so as I started like producing music, I was like, I think 13 or 14, and so I just did it for myself. And there was also a time where there was still existing MySpace, and
yes, one of the oldest music social media networks.
Yeah, and then I just put something up on SoundCloud, and I followed some guys, and like and I also exchanged with some producers there. Back then it was all about like putting some music out and see what the feedback is, and I would have not have really thought that it would be so, that it would be like so easy like to get well known through SoundCloud, because there were like a whole generation of DJs and producers got big through SoundCloud, and that all happened a bit by accident. So I didn't really plan anything. It was it was a bit of an accident, but I was always at some point I realized, okay, now like I got an audience that is interested in my music. Okay, maybe right now I should maybe don't do something that is that would confuse people. Like I was always developing more and more of a style, which is important. And I think also if you're doing the same thing over and over again, not exactly the same thing, but the style that can be really helpful, because there's so much music out there, and you want to be I think it's good to have an identity and not to confuse people too much, because I feel like this can also, I feel like that can be really strange if you doing some very cheesy stuff this year, and the year after you're doing some techno bangers, which is, to me, I find that a bit confusing actually. I'm not a big fan of that, so I was trying to evolve myself as well, but in a way that people also understand that I want to that they can follow me, and they don't think, okay, yeah, that guy's, what happened to him, what is he doing now?
Yeah, why is he doing that now?
Yeah, so that is basically, well, my idea of that. Yeah,
that's a bit of a weird situation, because sometimes you might even lose the fans that you have, and not gain new fans when you're kind of meandering between spaces, right? So what would you say are some of the most essential things, both technically and philosophically, for your music to form the identity that you form?
For me, my music is always about harmonies, melodies, and also about huge sound and strong drumming, punchy drums, which is really important. And also with a progressive feel, which is also I'm always doing that, and it's also the music that I'm playing is also quite deep and or progressive at least. And that's it. It's not too. It's not very analog. It's more I'm working really more on the box, especially when it comes to drums. Using more samples. I'm not working with any drum machines.
Right.
So that is. I don't know. For me, it's not that I don't like the sound. It's just about the workflow. I don't really like working with that. So and that's it. I don't want to set the boundaries too tight, so that's place to breathe in. So
what is a typical day like for you when you're back at home in Berlin, Do you have like a specific time that you like to sit in the studio, or is it something that you do as inspiration comes? Just run us through a typical day when, maybe not on a weekend, you're back after a gig. What is your day like?
Yeah, my day. I usually start to work on my tracks in my studio. I have a studio space that I share with some other DJs. We also run a label soon. No, not now, but we're going to run a label soon. And yeah, and I'm mostly getting there in the afternoon, and then I'm like there like mostly for 6 hours every day, and getting something done. And it's when and then also like my work ethic. Like okay, for me, as I already said, it's about melodies, and I'm basically trying all the time to jam and come up with something that where I think okay that stays in the head of the people when they listen to it. It's not like too random, and yeah, like something a bit like a hook.
Right, a strong hook that is memorable, that causes a certain emotion to be evoked.
Exactly, yeah, and that's and when I have that, I like usually I save them, and it's not very likely to happen that I finish a track like then very soon, because I sometimes yes, but mostly don't. For example, like my new EP that is coming out, I think the first version was made probably by the end of 2016. So it's really I'm really saving that and working on it again and again, and when I think it's ready, I put it out. So and also like when you listen to something like for a long period of time again and again, and you still like it, that's mostly a very good sign.
Right,
so,
when it still sounds fresh.
Exactly.
Initially, most producers start with a situation where they make something in the night, you wake up in the morning, your earliest days, and you're like, what did I make?
Exactly.
And then you start to learn and embrace that, saying that it has to sound good to me consistently for a certain duration of time before I know that it's something that's worthwhile to release.
Yeah. Exactly.
Wonderful. Tell me a little bit about your track Balloons, which really exploded and which put you on the map. You were 16 years old at that point of time.
Yeah.
So did you, obviously you did not expect that would happen.
No.
Nobody expects that.
No.
So tell us a little bit about, maybe if you remember a month at the time when you were making the track, a month before you were making the track, or the process that you were working, and then when it got out and what happened 6 months down the line, the two sides of you, and how that all kind of came together.
Well, first I had like I did kind of an ambient version of the track, which I wanted to release. It had a 4 to the floor kick drum, but it was more kind of an electronica thing, not really too powerful. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm looking for a label for that. Like nobody wanted to release it. I sent it to really, really bad labels. Nobody wanted to release it. And then like there was a free download label that said, okay, yeah, we do it. And then I told this guy, okay, I might do a club version of that, which is the Balloons version that got popular. So and I was like, just send it over when it's finished. And then I finished it, and I produced at some very crappy speakers, and he told me it's okay, that's quite good, but I will mix it down for you. So he mixed it down, and then we put that out as a free download first, and I don't know, I think like 1 month later or like 2, I'm not quite sure, he wrote me like, yeah, Nils, you got 80,000 plays on the song. I was like, yeah, okay, that's good. And then it got bigger and bigger, and I think when I had like 500,000 plays, I don't know, it was in June 2012.
That was a year after you, about a year and a half, 2 years after you released it?
No, I think that was like 6 months.
6 months, right?
Yeah, and yes, and then there was Get Physical coming to me and said, okay, Nils, we're doing poesy music, we're launching a new label, and you will be part of that if you want to. And they wanted to release, and I was like, yeah, sure, I want to do it. And that was like the time where it exploded again,
really
because that was a really good decision. And I was also in a very good camp, because Wankelmood, I don't know if, he also had a big hit back then. One Day, it was like more or less, he was like the main artist on that label.
Yeah,
and that was like it was a very good time, and we had like he completely exploded, I exploded, like that was, and we were also in the same booking agency, so we toured a lot together, and that was like those like from 2013 on. Like it really went quite well. I played on Ibiza with Get Physical Music, and yeah, that was quite good. Yeah, for me. Yes.
So can I say that was one of the most fondest moments of your career?
Yeah, definitely. The release of Balloons was like the essential moment of my career. Yeah, that opened a lot of doors where I'm still to some people where I'm still working with, or I can come back to like. I got some remix requests by people that even started out at that time and now got quite big. For example, like Eli and Fur, and so yeah, that was a very good thing. Yeah, happening to me. Yeah, and and it was also like I think the match perfect at the time. Like I think it was like 1 year before like Robin Schulz popped off and he did like a more commercial version of what like some other guys were doing, and yeah.
Yeah, that was a whole different phase of spin and deep house.
Yeah, but it also started like not as a radio thing. I don't know. Yeah, right now it's super commercial, but it's like it's so funny because he also that was a bit after me, but now to see like that they got so big. Yeah.
Eventually, that is bound to happen. Everything has to repeat itself, get recycled.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your home city, Berlin. Tell us what inspires you in Berlin. Tell us about some of your favorite clubs there, the things that you like doing on a weekend when you're not traveling, and on the weekdays when you're just over there. It's such a beautiful city to gather a lot of inspiration from. So tell us about everything that you like about Berlin.
Yeah, the club scene is very good. There are like a lot of clubs that I like a lot, like the Watergate or Sisyphos, where I play a lot, and also Gitterbutzke, like some clubs I like a lot, and yeah, mostly I'm actually in my studio, but I also like to. You can have like a very good walk, and for example, like Tiergarten, there are like a lot of parks, which is quite good, and there's like the center of the city is also quite beautiful. There's like a lot of cultural stuff going on that might not be electronic music, that is quite good, and yeah, there's so much to see in that city, and you have like after feeling you have like a lot of different things coming together, like you have this whole party scene, then you have like a really high quality culture scene with a lot of theaters and cinemas that are like, you have a lot of off cinemas where I really like to go a lot. I'm really into movies as well, and yeah, so it's also I also go to a lot of cinemas in Berlin mostly, yeah, and yeah, so that's what I'm doing. I'm also studying beside my music still, so yeah, I'm also in the university, yeah, that's so almost between that.
What are you studying right now?
I'm studying music and event management. Yeah, so
close enough to what you're doing.
Enough, yeah. Yeah.
So how was that for you, even when you were in school and college and you had all of this going on the side? How did you kind of find a time slice to do these things? Because this is another thing we get asked often. A lot of producers have daytime jobs because the production is not yet paying for everything that they want to do.
Yeah.
For you, it was a similar situation, and even now you are still attending college and you have gigs and all of this to do. Yeah. I'm sure you have exams, assignments, and things to keep up with.
Yeah.
So give us a little insight on how you time slice your life to manage all of this.
Yeah, it's you have to be like quite you have to be quite structured. So I'm going to university like at 9, 10, maybe 11 on some days, and then I'm there until the afternoon, and then I go to the studio, and then I make music, or like not every day, but I would say like 4 days a week, and then on the evening you can like either like meet with your friends or I don't know, but most of the private stuff, like when I don't play like every weekend, you know, I can do something there with some friends, and it's also like and it's also like how you use your time. For example, right now I'm not going to the university because of free time, and I'm working on an album. So it's like I'm planning like to finish it in the next 2 months, because that's my free time, and then I have an album upcoming, and I don't really have pressure like to do music during the time when I go to university, which is like, it's about using your time efficiently. But when you have a job which is maybe a bit more
hectic.
than like university. It can be a bit different, but I think you can. I think when you really want to start a career in music, then you maybe should like work less, like rent a cheaper apartment. So
Keep your costs as low as possible.
Yes, so that you have a bit more time. I would say that's the way to go in this case. Yeah.
And how helpful is your university course right now?
Oh, it's very
What are you
helpful.
doing?
Yeah, it's very helpful. I know I learn a lot of things that help me in my music. For example, marketing. For example,
Yes, one of the most fundamental things today.
today, yes.
As much as you want to do it or you don't want to do it, it is
you need
a
to do it.
prerequisite.
There's
Yeah.
no other option actually. So I learn a lot of stuff there. And also about contracts and about law,
Mhm.
like which can also be quite interesting. Yeah. So that's basically it. And also about communication, like
Mhm.
like for example when you do like social media, how do you communicate with your fans and like,
Right, engaging them, keeping them relevant.
yeah, and then of course like how to organize events, for example.
Mhm.
I have also like like a party at Ritterbutzke that I'm still doing. It's called Back to Back.
Mhm.
I do this with the guys from my studio,
Right.
but I'm like the main guy that organizes it. I organize it with like two friends. But yeah, it's so. But this is I learn a lot there. But yeah, so it's really helpful. Yeah.
So was this a choice that you made when you decided to go to college because it would help you along with what you're doing? Or is this something that you saw at that time maybe as a plan B?
Definitely as a plan B, because like the music industry is so fast, and it's like there are not many people that make a career that is like lasting 20 years, 30 years, like Sven Väth or so.
Yes.
That's really, really hard. So, and especially when you get like right now, that's quite interesting because like the first generation of the DJs now getting like mid-50,
Mhm.
they're then in the mid-50s.
Most of the big live acts are all late 40s, mid 50s. They've been doing it at least for 20 years now.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting to see like how long they will do this, you know. And I think like Sven Väth doesn't really need to work after his career anymore. But
Yeah.
it's definitely a good plan B. And yeah, I just for my own safety, like do have like kind of a degree.
Mhm.
In what case ever may happen, you know, that's definitely good to have. Yeah.
Sure. Let me ask you a little more about what you have in store for the next couple of years. You just spoke about your recent album that you're working on.
Yeah.
You also mentioned a label that you want to start with your friends. So is there anything that you want to tell us about the label first and then the album?
Yeah, the label that I'm launching this with my studio crew, which is consisting of two guys called hood.Us,
Mhm.
then Niklas Ibach,
Mhm.
Finn and Max Joni. We are like also running the back-to-back parties together, and yeah, the label is not there yet, but we are planning it. It will be like in this year, and then I will also I will release an album on Get Physical Music that I'm working right now on. Got a couple of tracks ready, like 2 or 3 tracks, but it's not too much. I'm still working on it on the next 2 months. And yeah, but next week actually on Friday, my new EP is dropping called Drift, also on Get Physical Music, with remixes by Ben Boma, Calipo, and Franz Ali Stern.
Mhm.
And then I got another EP coming in May on Dear Records, which is like progressive house label from Ukraine, and some remixes by Tom Zita from Dynamic and Elroy.
Mhm.
Yeah, that will be also quite good in there. And then the next thing will be the album that's coming.
What is the vision for your label that you have at the moment? So every label, I think, has a USP to saying this is what we do. So are you looking at it being more of a family and friends, a crew sort of a thing, or is it to also put on a lot of forthcoming talent and provide a platform?
It's more of a family crew thing. Like we are like still. It's not completely done. It can be that. I think we will keep it more as a family and crew thing, and what there will also be, it will be like we will also like the guys that I'm doing the label with. They are also producing, in some cases, quite commercial music that is far away from my music.
Mm-hmm.
But so we will do something that is we will do like one label, and then we will do a deep label, and I will be more on the deep side, because the other thing is not really what I'm doing, but and it will be more of a family and friends thing, just to have an outlet for if like the label doesn't want to release it, or just like to build something else. Like the other guys, they're also quite famous, so it makes sense to do it. Like, and it's interesting. We're not completely done with it, but it will be coming this year, definitely. Yeah.
It's in the works.
Exactly. Yeah, it's in the works. Yeah.
Wonderful. So what can you tell us about what you know about India so far? Have you heard of any producers from India? Have you ever come across of any electronic music from India?
I'm not quite sure. I heard about I'm not quite, I think he's from India.
Arjun Wagle, yes,
Wagle,
of course.
Yeah, he released on hood.Our as well.
Yeah. He's one of the biggest iconic producers in India.
Yeah.
When it comes to techno,
yeah.
especially, yes.
Yeah, I heard about him, and then a lot of big festivals actually, and also. Like the festival lineups are quite massive in India, like the Sonic Festival, so that's really big. And like musical wise, it's I think in India is like still a place where it will develop, like a lot
absolutely.
more. Like I think it will also happen that there will be more. I could imagine that there will be more international DJs from India in a few years, because first of all, there's so many people. So
the population is huge.
It's really huge, and
so even if 10% made it, that would be larger than.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like I think there will be some good producers soon, and also it's not that far away actually from Europe.
Mm-hmm.
You can fly like 6 hours, and especially when you think, okay, like I see it a lot that a lot of European DJs like play, for example, in Beirut, which is not
too far away.
It's not
Lebanon,
too far away.
Right?
I think it's also if you fly like 5 hours, it's not that far away actually.
Yes.
So, and I think the country is so big and it has so much potential. There can also be like a really good culture in India, which I think there also is already.
Yes.
So, but right now, like the center of deep and tech house music and techno music is I think Europe.
Europe, definitely.
But those are exciting times. Like through the internet, like there are no boundaries. And
absolutely, anybody can break out, anyone can get anywhere.
Yeah.
It's just the amount of time and effort that you put into your craft.
It's
end
really,
of the day.
Yeah, you can live anywhere on the planet to make it. I think I'm pretty sure there will be like some more internationally well-known producers soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's outstanding to hear from someone that has been balancing a career, balancing their college and putting out music together. So that's a great message for all you young producers to take this as an example and move forward. There's always a way if you want to do it.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for talking to us, Nils. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.